I haven't have to say, it only takes me 20 minutes to get there, you know, to my activism. That's a long way. And that's a dedication to the animals. Like, I applaud that. That's incredible and really inspiring. Hello, beautiful beings. It's Rebecca, the Vegan Pixie Warrior, and welcome to my YouTube channel. I have got a special guest on today, and I'm hoping she can inspire you in different ways to become an advocate for the animals, because it's not just about street activism, it's about all forms. And oh my God, this woman is just incredible. I love her to bits. We've been chatting online for a while because we both work for We the Free, and we met recently when I went on a work trip, and it was just instant connection. I was really worried that she wouldn't like me, but oh my God, I just love her, and I'm sure you're going to love her too. So I want to introduce the beautiful and wonderful Panch. Hi, Panch. How you doing today, Panch?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm all right. Had a hectic school run this morning, but yeah, I'm doing good. I'm glad to see a friendly face and be able to talk to you again, because we do talk sometimes, don't we, through work, but not as often as I'd like. And I wish we were closer because, Panch, where
Yeah.
are you based? Where in the world are you based?
I'm in India and I wish you were in India too, so that I could come and be like, hey, Rebecca.
Oh my God, I'd move to India tomorrow. I say back, I've never lived there, but I would go there tomorrow. I love it. I've never felt so at home anywhere in the world than I do in India. Um, and the people are so beautiful, including yourself as well. Just amazing. So we're going to start with, and I know this story because you told it to me, but obviously my viewers haven't met you before, so they don't know it. When did you become vegan, and what was the turning point for you?
First of all, thank you so much for having me here. It's an honor to be on Vegan Pixie Warriors channel. So, yeah, to answer your question, I adopted veganism in August of 2020. That was about like 3.5, 4 years ago. And I was just volunteering with different organizations. And then one of my friend went in the space that I was volunteering in, made a statement to me. And it was during one of our team calls. And he said that, his name is Ankit. So he said that um, every glass of milk I drink is because a calf is denied the birthright to do so. And it blew my mind. I was just like, what am I doing? So I just quit everything overnight. It took me like maybe a week or two to like transition out of my body care, skincare, everything else. But food or entertainment, not wasn't ever a huge fan of that. But for me, I think that sentence was worth it. And I was just like, no, that I'm done. I'm quitting everything overnight. So I'm one of those crazy overnight vegans.
It's funny you should talk about dairy, Patch, because that's what made me go vegan. And the amount of vegans I've spoken to is the same for them. And I went from meat eater to vegan, and it was seeing the dairy calf being taken from their mother. And I was just like, nah, can't be part of this anymore. So were you vegetarian before?
Yep, I've been a vegetarian by choice ever since my birth. I was fed eggs earlier, but then yeah, I somehow had some sort of allergic reaction to it. But then when I was a kid, I was out with my parents to some social lunch, and the person who we were invited by made a dish out of like chickens, baby chickens. So I asked them what it was because I've never seen that before. And when they explained what they did to the baby chicken to like make that dish, I was just like, wait, what? So I was almost hyperventilating. I ran out um to my car and I'm like, no, I can't even fathom doing that because I love dogs so much and I've seen chickens roaming around freely. So that connection was something I just couldn't understand. So yeah, that was I think one of the building points for me to understand breaking through speciesism per se. So yeah,
And how long have you been vegan now?
more than 3.5 years, I guess.
And is it hard or are you finding it easy?
It's never been better. I don't think there's ever been an easier decision I've made in my life. I just wish I'd been one of those cool kids who've been vegan from like their birth. Oh my God. Like that would have been the best thing.
Better late than never, though, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
When did you first become involved in activism? How long did it take you after going vegan to start advocating for the animals?
6 hours.
6 hours. That's
Yep.
amazing. Um,
So it was the same statement that my friend made, and that had hit me so hard that I like got it printed on like a sheet of paper. I went to my local park, and I'm just like, what do you folks think about this? There were people walking around everywhere, and I'm like, what do you think about that? So everybody's like, what is this girl even talking about? And obviously, I just watched like a couple of documentaries that are Indian based, like Unholy Cattle of India or Deadly Dairy, in those 6 hours. And that's kind of what got me into, like people need to know about this because for me, it was just thinking that cows magically produce milk for 20 years. Like for 20 years of my life, it was like cows and buffaloes magically produce milk because they eat grass. And oh my God. So yeah, and even when I was explaining the same thing to people, they're just like, we didn't know this happened. I'm like, yeah, I know.
yeah, the same. I literally thought that cows produced milk because they ate grass because that's what I believed and that's what I was told.
Yep.
And now I think about it, I'm like, how naive was I to think that? Like, why didn't I ever question it? It's crazy. So your first form of activism, you went vegan and just went out and spoke to people on the street.
Yeah.
And how did that
Um,
feel? That's so brave to do that.
I think it felt like I had a responsibility within me that I had to speak up for the animals, uh,
Mhm.
primarily because I wasn't aware, and I was under the assumption that everybody around me was also not aware. So that's why I just like, let's just go out, let's just talk to people because I didn't know what else to do. So yeah. And after that, the lockdown set in, like that was the lockdown period, so because of COVID. And that is when I saw a lot of these creators on social media. Like there are some really cool Indian ones like Voice of Vegans, and at that time he was still building up the page. And then there was Joey Carp Strong, and then there were like all of these cool Osling Ed, and all of these people. And I was like, they do phenomenal work with social media. So I just started creating random videos, following these Instagrammy trends. So I started doing a lot of that, adding a little bit of humor here and there, but mostly it was just video editing and a lot of like footage of what happens to animals and then doing some poetry here and there. I think that also got a lot of conversation sparked. So that was nice. That was my I would say that was my first form of activism per se. So
And then how did you get into that? Is it self-taught? Did you go to uni? What is it? Or are you just a naturally creative person?
I wouldn't say I'm naturally creative.
I would.
So it was mostly me trying to experiment with video editing myself. So I was just watching a lot of YouTube tutorials, finding out cracks and hacks and everything. So yeah, I did a little bit of like graphic design, video editing work in my uni as well because I'm a graduate of like journalism. So yeah, I did a little bit of work there, but it wasn't as hardcore about any social cause that I believed in as much as this was. So yeah, this was it. Just experimenting with YouTube.
And how did it feel when you made your first post and it got reactions and it got likes from people and comments from people? How did that feel?
I honestly felt so empowered because it took me, you fall into a decision paralysis, and I fall into that very often. So when I was about to make my first post, I'm just like going on researching how is an Instagram feed supposed to look and what are the aesthetics? And I was just like, oh, I'm going to design my grid like this. So these are going to be my color palettes. Oh my God. I spent like almost 2 months on that. And it was all down the vein because like I just posted everything that came up. So yeah, but when I made my first post, it was like, this is it. This is what I'm gonna do. That's how it felt. And yeah, because some people were obviously astonished at what they were watching. And most of these people on my social media were like my friends from college and earlier before. So they were like, what even happened to this girl? Why is she posting about all of this stuff? And I had a lot of DMs about like, hey, why are you doing all of this stuff? And I'm just like, because it's there. This is what it is. We've done journalism for 3 years of our life, and we've never been told about this side of anything. So that's kind of what changed everything for me. So.
And did you, this question seems pointless to ask, but I do ask everybody, like, did you have any blocks stopping you? It doesn't sound like you did, because 6 hours after you went vegan, you were out on the streets telling people what happened. And then you spent 2 months researching and making sure that everything was okay. But you did mention earlier that you kind of you were struggling with the decision of what to do. Was that the only block, or was there anything else that was preventing you, or maybe making you question advocating for the animal?
So many blogs. And I think a lot of people would also relate to this because, the first blog, like every vegan who was turning into an activist experiences that I don't know enough information. And that's how it felt to me as well. Even despite like watching all of those documentaries, it's not like you can learn so much. You can like, take in everything you've seen because you're also having a very emotional response to what you're watching. So for me, striking a balance and then going outside and talking to people while keeping my composure was very hard. I at times I have to confess that I got like that angry vegan, like, why is it so hard for you to understand it? So, oh my God. So but then it was very weird at that point of time. But then I think one of the major roadblocks that I had to overcome was letting myself know that it is okay to not know stuff and going back and reading about it and then, going back to the person there. Um, like one of my friend who's also an activist now, he always used to tell me that I don't know enough about nutrition. What if that person comes and asks me? I'm just like, dude, just tell him chickpea, tofu, seitan, done. You're done. Just tell him that. And I was just like learn a few like Indian dishes that are high on protein. So I just used to remember those names and I'd be like, this is what it is. But then after I started doing outreach more and more, you start understanding what people's general questions are, and then you always have answers at the back of your head, like so that's how it
Yeah.
was.
You learn, like, I feel like I reflect after every time I do outreach. I go home, I reflect on the conversations that I've had that day. What could I have done differently, but also what I did well as well, because I think it's really important to focus on the positives that you've had from that day,
Yeah,
not just the negatives.
absolutely.
You mentioned that you done street outreach. How did you find out about it, and how did you get involved, apart from that first one when you just ran into the park and told everyone?
I kind of like had I started following some of the people who were activists in the city I live in India, and some of them are like Ravi. So he now has an animal sanctuary, but I started following him as a person who used to do social media activism as well, but he used to do it in Telugu, which is like the local language here. And I kind of got in touch with him. I'm just like, I want to do social media. How do I do this? And he was so encouraging. He's like, you just gotta post it. Just do it. And I was like, okay. And then he's like, oh, we're having this activism event on this. It was on World Vegan Day in 2020. November 1st. That was my first like massive street outreach that I did with everyone. So that's kind of what got me started. And one of the biggest roadblocks was also finances because I was a student then. So I was obviously relying on like my parents for financial support for a long time. And it was difficult for me to like fund go to these places because I live a little away from the city. So it would take me about 2 hours to get to the spot where they were doing outreach for a 2 hour outreach. So that's like 4 hours travel. Yeah, but then it was all worth it when I felt the community spirit that they gave me and the encouragement. And of course, more than anything, it was mentorship. Like sometimes I would just shadow people. I would just stand there and listen to their conversations, and that would give me so much knowledge. And then I would be like, go to the other person and talk the same thing. So it was a lot of learning out there as well.
So you traveled 2 hours to an event that was two
Yeah.
hours long and 2 hours back. So that's 6 hours that you gave up of your day for the animals. That's incredible, Panch. I didn't know that, and I wish I'd spoken about your activism a bit more when we were together in the same place. That's incredible. Like I haven't have to say it only takes me 20 minutes to get there, to my activism. That's a long way. And that's a dedication to the animals. Like I applaud that. That's incredible and really inspiring. How do you fit your activism into your life? Because you now work for We the Free. You're the media manager for We the Free, and you do an incredible job. And you've got an incredible team working for you as well. Very talented people, all of you, every single one of you. But how do you fit your activism in your? Because you do a slightly different form of activism now, which I want to bring up, um, because it's not all about street activism, and also you've got the social media, but you also dedicate your life to your babies, don't you? Can you
Yeah,
talk about that a little bit?
sure. Would you want me to talk about all three of them or like, wait,
Yeah, why not? Well, no, tell me how. First of all, you got started doing that.
rescuing?
Yeah,
Okay. So it was obviously my babies rescuing me. So the babies that Rebecca is referring to are like 30 adopted street doggos near where I live. So initially the number started varying. It was 13, then 50, and then now it's back to 30. So a lot of incidents happen. But it was again in my year of college where I was coming back home from my university, and it was raining, like it was pouring. And there was this little doggo who was on the side of the street, did not have any shelter, was looking very weak. And although I've played around with like companion animals of people before, but I've never interacted with a street dog. And I was honestly like scared, scared of them. Like they would see me and I'm just like, bye. So, but then yeah, I think this dog, his name is Doofy. So he was the one who changed my entire life and got me to rescuing. I didn't think much. I had a couple of biscuits in my bag. I stopped there and I was trembling when I did this, but I took my hoodie off and I put it on him and I just ran. I dropped the biscuits, I put my hoodie on him, and I ran. I'm like, I don't want to see what happens next. I'll come check on him tomorrow because what if he bites me? But then when I came back, this guy, he was like, this was the hoodie, and his head was like this, and he was sleeping like this. So that sight made me realize how much of a privilege we have just being born as a human, because irrespective of anything, for us, we can always ask for help. We can just be like, hey, I'm trembling and cold, can you find me shelter? But for them, that's not the case. We cannot interpret their language, right? So seeing him getting probably a better night's sleep, I wouldn't say good night's sleep, but a better night's sleep, was what made me change the way I was doing things. So I wouldn't tell anybody at college. I would just leave early and go around feeding all of these doggos. And I always used to like wear a hoodie and look all secretive so that nobody figured out it was me. Because there was always that fear of people wouldn't accept what I'm doing thing. But then after some time, it was one of my senior who said that, hey, I've seen you feeding doggos a lot, and I want to make like a short film about it. And I'm like, don't make it about me, make it about them. So he's like, yeah. So we made like a 2-minute film about how difficult their life is and how they can't even find food, water, shelter, or even safety, and how humans unfortunately like trouble them, like torment them. So it was that. And then there was just like this tiny little clip he took of me and another doggo, Scooby, um, of me like holding Scooby like this and him looking at me and like licking my face. And I'm just like, so that's what got me into rescuing. I couldn't do it for a long time again because I was dependent financially. But then when I started working, I the first thing I did was like with my first salary, I got my mom a little something, and I bought like huge bags of dog food. I went and fed all of the doggos on my street, and I'm just like, you're my kid, you're my kid, you're my kid. Now all of them have names. They know their names, and they have like places that they can stay in. They're makeshift shelters, but they stay in there.
Cool.
Sorry for the long ramble.
No, it's not a long ramble, and don't apologize. It's lovely. It's just shows how compassionate you are. That it's not just about the animals that we farm and that we wear and that we test on. It's about dogs too. I mean, breeding in the UK is a massive problem. There are a lot of breeders and there are a lot of dogs waiting for a home, to be adopted or fostered. We don't have so much of a street dog problem over in the UK. But then if a dog was on the street, what would happen to them would not be pleasant. So yeah, no, don't apologize. What you're doing is fantastic. So I'll go back to my original question that I got sidetracked because I'm just so excited that you agreed to come onto my channel because you're like, I do street activism. I'm like, it's not about that. And you've already mentioned like 4 types of activism in this video that you do, and you going out and looking after your street dogs, your babies. That is activism, as far as I'm concerned. You're advocating for the animals because you're looking after them, and hopefully you might inspire someone else that watches this to go and do the same. Okay, and then they have more love. So how do you fit everything in? With you're working, you're feeding your dogs. What do you do, and how do you fit it into your life?
I think one of the biggest honor I have right now in my life is working with Be the Free. So I cannot thank them enough for like this opportunity because um, being able to do activism as like a profession is something a lot of people like. Even when I started off, I'm just like, I want to become a full-time activist, but it's not a very easy opportunity that comes to people. So eternally grateful for that. And again, you are one of the most phenomenal people we have on the team. So yeah, you don't understand how much of a big role you play. Like I survive in my role because of you sometimes with everything that you do. Thank you, Rebecca. I cannot thank you enough. And of course, the media team is they are champions in everything that they do. So we have this beautiful sync where everybody has unique talents and it all comes together to fit
Yeah.
in and make a very effective social media team. So yeah, I think it's basically for a person like me who wanted to start off creating content by myself to being able to manage a page of an organization which is a global network of activists is like a dream come true. So it's just about like it's just about getting more people in. And we're
Mhm.
always looking for people who are like either blog writers or people who are graphic designers, video editors, everything, because the bigger the team, the more content we create, the more impact we have for the animals. And the reason why social media is so very important and connected to We the Free itself as a street, because we specialize in street outreach. The reason why it's so effective is because when you outreach in the street, that one conversation you have with a person, is like maybe a one-time impact or maybe a ripple effect of them going and talking to their friends. But if you record that conversation with their consent and you put it on social media, that's at least 1,000 people watching that video and thinking about what's going on and what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
Um, so that is why it's always a multifold effect when you like post something that you do on the street on social media. So that is why I think that every single activist should be able to do that. And if uh, we completely understand that sometimes equipment can be a challenge, but I'm a person who started off with my phone. So I wouldn't say that there is, there's an excuse to it. So I just took my phone and I was just like, I told my friend to secretly capture videos, and I would block off the person who I was outreaching to, and it would just be me and their voiceover. So I would just like add B-rolls or whatever whenever like they were talking. But I think doing that is one of um, the most awesome things I've done in my life, I guess. So sorry if I sidetracked from your question.
No, you didn't. No, and I want to say thank you for your kind words because I'm in awe of you, and I think that's we were both a little bit nervous about meeting each other for the first time, because we're both kind of in awe of each other. But honestly, I feel like I've got a friend for life, and I really appreciate that. Yeah, I appreciate the feedback, but what you do is incredible work, and you work so hard, and you work such long hours as well. Like, and you're right, it is a dream to work as an animal rights activist, to be paid to be an animal rights activist, and I can't believe that it's happened. Like, I mean, when we were away, I was like, I had imposter syndrome massively. I couldn't believe I was there. And I just do admin in the background, but it takes a massive weight off of everybody's shoulders so they can concentrate on other things. So I do feel really valued, and yeah, I've appreciated in my job 100%. What do you love most about, what's your favorite type of activism, first of all? What's your favorite?
I can't pick one, but if I had to, I'd say social media because it's easy. You Some people, I've seen a lot of pages who don't even like make videos or anything. People who repost content of people, people who share content of people, people who engage in accounts of different activists. It all adds to engagement, and the algorithm is like, damn, that's a video I gotta boost. So then more people watch it, and it goes out to non-followers if you engage with other accounts. And there are people who would just go and grab some pictures of animals from the internet and write a very good caption about it because they're very good at writing. So they would write a very good caption about what actually happens. Say, for example, they take a picture of a baby chicken who is caught in a tray of eggs, right? And they would write a very beautiful caption about why that baby chick could not hatched so weirdly and was stuck in between all of the other unborn babies. So explaining that process or explaining debeaking, anything, right? So I think some people who have that creative flair to like write stuff, social media is it. If you're very good at talking, start making videos of you like talking. Or if you feel like you have a flair for like editing videos together, like people on our team have even has. So they would edit videos together and they would post it on social media. If you think you're just a person who like is very good at graphic design, start making carousels or take pictures of the internet and put some quotes here and there that you think are effective, put it on social media. So I feel like social media is the single best way to reach out to people um, who are spread everywhere in the world. Like
Yeah.
if I had to do that on the street, I had to travel. I can't do that, right? But on social media, you can reach populations like just awesome. So I think that's one of the reasons why social media is awesome to me, and it's my favorite form of activism.
And I
So
think it's had a massive effect on veganism in the last, I mean, I've only been vegan, I think it's 7 years this year. Um, but I've seen a massive spurt in veganism, and I'm sure a lot of it is due to social media. And you're right, sharing video conversations, sharing other people's content, sharing other people's posts. if you can't think of your own post, share someone else's. Have a look at We the Free, or have a look at some other activists online. And Ellie is vegan gays, like her posts are phenomenal as well, so share those. I love that woman so much. So what would you say to vegans that are not yet active for the animals? What would you say to them to inspire them to advocate?
Um, I would say look into the eyes of the animal that transformed your life. If it was in a documentary, go watch that clip again and just think, if you were in that position, what would you want somebody to do? Like, the classic dog example that people give. Like, if there was a dog on the street who was being hit by people, what would you do? And that resonates deeply with me, which is why I use it as an analogy. You have three options there. One is that you don't care about the dog at all and you walk by, right? And the second option that you have is that you were under the assumption that, hey, I'm not participating in that. Um, I'm not hitting the dog, so I'm okay. And you still walk by. And the third option is you go and actively intervene there and rescue the dog. So in all of these options, if I were to draw an analogy, the first one where you don't care would be being a non-vegan. The second one where you think that you are not hitting the dog, so you're okay, is of course veganism, because it's inaction. Although veganism is a big step that people should be taking, and I really appreciate people who do it. Um, it's still inaction. Like, you are not actively saving the lives of any animal, right? And the third thing is, of course, when you go and actively intervene, um, that animal is rescued from that situation. So, which is why I feel like that should be the single best way that you do activism, because the animals need every single voice that they can get. So, yeah, that would be it.
Yeah, I agree with you that being vegan is a non-action. It's You're just choosing the plant-based milk instead of the cow's milk, or the plant-based, the tofu or the plant-based protein rather than the animal protein. You're just
Yep.
choosing different things. And the vegan shoes instead of the cow's leather shoes. So we have, if you're vegan because you went vegan before the animals because it upset you and it stirred something in you, you need to let other people know that.
Yep.
Definitely.
What I was about to say, which I forgot, would be, if you were in that place of that animal, what would you want somebody who knows what's happening to you to do? Would you want them to go outside and talk to people about what's happening to you and expose the truth in an attempt to save your life or save the life of your friends or your family who are going through the same cycle after you? Or would you want them to just think that, hey, I am not participating in it, um, and that's a good thing I'm doing. If you feel like that animal would want you to go outside and step outside and talk to people about it, that is what you have to do. And the reason why I also love social media is that it's the single best form of activism which is accessible to everybody. So, like, you can do it from the comfort of your home. If you feel like there are various constraints due to whatever reason that you cannot step outside and you can't do other forms of activism, you can still do social media. So, and that is why I think it's also important to take advantage of the community of activists that we have. Like, there are so many phenomenal resources that people can tap into, like We the Free. We have free trainings. And if you feel like you want to do a specific form of activism, there are organizations like Animal Activist Mentorship that you can sign up with for a free training. So learn from other activists who are in the movement would be something that I would say. Like, I was always scared to reach out to people because, like, I was like, what would they think of me? But then once I hit that message, I said hit send to the person, like Ravi G, when I said that I'm confused. What do I do about it? I think the message that he sent me was what made me into starting social media as an activist. So I think never be afraid to reach out to anybody. You can reach out to Rebecca, you can reach out to me.
Always.
We're always so happy to help. So yeah,
And I
I
have a
think that,
plethora of people that I've interviewed on my channel before I took a break that you can easily reach out to. And that was what I remembered you sparked in me what I wanted to say earlier was that as a vegan, I only knew my husband and I was so lonely. Like, and I've mentioned this before on my channel. Like I don't know any other vegans. My family weren't listening to me. My friends weren't listening to me. No one was going vegan. And then I just reached out to another activist that I saw put a post on the Bristol Vegans page. And I got involved in activism. And now it's my world has changed so much. It's incredible. And I've really missed them all in like the year that I took off for being at home for the kids. And it was great. And I love them and I wouldn't change them for the world. And I just think they're amazing children. But I did miss that. And as soon as the adoption order went through and I got back into my first street activism again because that's what I love doing. Like I love social media, but I love being on the streets and talking to the public and filming other people's outreach and putting that online. So it was so good to be back in that fold and you just feel safe and held and I love it. I love my activist family. I wouldn't change them for the world. And I'm no longer the only vegan in the village. Not that I was anyway, but you know what I mean?
yep.
Yeah.
And yeah, if I may add, Rebecca, I think I cannot express it into words how much respect and love, not just me, I'm pretty sure every single person who knows you has for you with the job that you're doing with the kids and the phenomenal efforts that you've put into like raising them to be the kids they are. Um, like I remember, I think you mentioned briefly on Facebook on a post where you said that they wanted to join you for activism. They're like, Mommy, we want to join you to save the animals. And I swear to God that reading that post made me tear up so much. Like they're just amazing.
Oh,
I wish I had an opportunity to meet them. And I remember like them sending me, "Hey, Panch," when you went back from our work trip. And I was just like, I showed that to my mom, and she's like, they're so lovely.
they're hard work, but they are lovely. And I can't wait for them to be active. Like every time we talk about what happens to the animals, and I am very careful about the information that I give them because I don't want to cause them any more trauma.
Yeah.
And they say, "Oh, mummy, we want to go and save the cows." And I'm going to punch the farmer in the face. And I'm like, no, you can't punch the farmer in the face. But when you're old enough, we can go and can do some activism with me. And I cannot wait. So yeah, thank you for that. Thank you. Um, yeah, best decisions I ever made was going vegan, marrying my husband and adopting my two beautiful kids. Like definitely. Like I said on my my I'm back video, I'm literally feel like I'm living a dream. And yeah, got the job of where I always wanted. And I got to meet you in the flesh and just spend time with you for like 10 days or however long it was. Didn't feel like long enough really. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, thank you, Pan.
I just wish I could like freeze time and have that time with you all over again.
Well,
I
if you're
loved
ever
it.
in the UK, you know you've got a place to sleep here, and I hopefully you are going to save. I only work part time for Willy Free, so I don't earn a huge amount of money, but I'm going to just put my money away for an India trip. I'm going to have like an India pot on the side or something that I can put everything into. So I
Yes,
want to
please.
say a massive thank you to Panch for agreeing because I know you were like a bit shocked when I asked you because you don't do street activism, but hopefully you've seen how you are still an activist with what you're doing. It's definitely activism and it's really important. Um, and again, a good mention about the people that aren't able to get out on the streets and street activism isn't their thing. There are other things that they can do. I will put links in the description about We the Free and where you can reach out. And we are still looking for volunteers for media roles, I guess.
Yep,
And you'll get to
as
work
always.
with amazing, and you can see how amazing she is. Like, come on, she's great. She's great, and she's really easy to work with as well. Because you're open-minded and you take criticism well. Not that I have to give you any constructive criticism or anything, but you're open to other people's ideas, and that's really important. So thank you, Panch, and namaste.
Namaste. Thank you so much, Rebecca, for having me here. It's an honor. It's an absolute honor.
It's my
I love you
absolute.
so much.
I love you too. It's so much pleasure having you and talking to you. And I'm a bit selfish, really. I just wanted to see your face and talk to you for an hour. That's all. Don't hit that subscribe button. And again, it's been so long since I've done this. I can't remember if it's this side or this side. I think it's this side. So yeah, hit the subscribe button, share the video, leave a comment if you've been inspired by Panch to get active. If you've got any questions, I'll pop her contact details in as well, so you can find her on Instagram and then reach out to her if you want any advice or support, because she's amazing. Thanks,
Just
Bean.
as you. Thank you. Bye bye. Take care.